So we're going to be looking at both in conjunction. This is going to look at both of those in sort of looking at each individual feature we have on Seneca and how they link to both Teams and Classroom. So I'm going to go through some background of Seneca as well, make sure you sort of understand what Seneca is and how it can be used and how it's come to be developed over the years that we've been around. And also making sure that you are able to see sort of practically how well Seneca can work for you and your students. So if I just share my screen with you, you'll be able to see what we're going to talk about. So not that. There we go. So Seneca is a homework and distance learning platform that students can use to learn at home, and you can use to set work and assignments for your students. And some of the best things about Seneca are that, first of all, it's based on cognitive science. Everything from your perspective is adaptive in terms of, is automated, sorry, in terms of the marking and the feedback students get. It all happens automatically. And then you can also track progress of your students and see what they're up to, and reset work for students based on how well they've done as well. And then everything on there is also adaptive for students. So what that means is that students have differentiated work that's automatically set for them, and that varies depending on, yes, that will sort of adapt and change depending on how well students do. So this will look at, sorry, I'm having a bit of trouble with my computer. This will look at supporting students to, apologies, I'm going to have to stop sharing for a second because my computer is going a bit mad. Hang on. Okay, hopefully you can see that. We might just have to do it without the full screen, just because it's, I don't know what's happening there. But anyway, so yeah, everything we do on Seneca is adaptive. So what that means is, as a student goes through learning on Seneca, they are able to see exactly the content that's right for their learning, be that giving them more support and guidance if they're looking to develop some areas that they're struggling with, or giving more sort of stretch tasks and challenges to students who are doing really well. Now, we obviously wanted to make sure that our implementation of the theory around cognitive science was effective. So we did a randomized controlled trial that just looked at just over 1,100 pupils. And when we compared Seneca to other independent learning tools, we found that Seneca was very much more effective than other independent learning tools like revision guides. And what we saw that was with very similar pre-test results, the post-test results, the students who were on Seneca did over twice as well. So we see that very much as a validation of what we're doing on Seneca and the impact it's having on students. Now, that research was peer-reviewed and published. So if you want to read about that, you can just go onto these websites, just do a search for impact Seneca learning, for example, it will come up. Now, the content we have on Seneca is from Key Stage 2 right up to Key Stage 5 and everything in between. And everything in Key Stage 2 and 3 is linked to the national curriculum. And at Key Stage 4 and 5, it's linked to the exam board specifications. So you can be really reassured that whatever it is your students are learning is exactly what they need to know for their exam. And we provide all these courses for free. Now, these numbers down the bottom here are a bit out of date. We're more like 5 million pupils now, 150,000 teachers, and about 60,000 parents. So these have gone up massively in recent times, as you can probably imagine, with the whole school closures situation again. But yeah, we're pleased to be able to support these people at the moment with a high quality free online service. So that's a bit of background. Let's dive in and actually have a look at Seneca and how it works, and talk about the integrations with Google Classroom and Microsoft Teams, which I know that you are particularly interested in. Now, when you create a class on Seneca, if you haven't done so already, it's very straightforward. You just need to click Create Class. You give it that a name, whatever it is you want to say, and you create that class. That then creates the class, and you have just a few steps to basically get set up on your Seneca with that class. So you've got these 5 steps, and if at any point you need help, you just click Get Help, and that links to a video which will help to explain what you need to do. But first of all is to add courses. So I can go in here, I click Add Courses, I can use these filters down the side here or the search bar at the top, and I can just go and select the different courses that I want to add. So let's add these 5 biology courses as an example, and then I just click add courses at the top here. And then the next stage to do is to create an assignment. So again, I can get help if I need it, or I can just go straight in and create an assignment. Cool. So I need to choose one of those 5 courses that I selected just before. So let's go for the Edexcel A level. And I can then select any topics that I want to set work for. And if I want to preview them, I can also do that just by clicking this preview button so I can see what's going on. And when I assign that, I can then give it an assignment name. And a start and an end date. So the start and the end date is really useful for thinking about planning forward and planning ahead with your classes. If you want to plan a whole half term's worth of work in one go, you can do that. But when I click create, that basically assigns that assignment to this class. And then as students start to join the class, you can, the students will then be added to the assignment. So the next stage is to invite students. Now, with inviting students, there's a few different ways you can do it. You can either share a link and post that in any shared area, be that on a VLE or a show my homework or anything like that. Or like, as you're probably interested in, you can do it on Google Classroom and Microsoft Teams. So let's show you both of these processes one by one. I'll show you the Classroom first, then I'll show you Teams afterwards. So Google Classroom, you just click on the Google Classroom link. You first of all choose which class you want to share that to. So I'm going to choose this Year 10 group, and I'm going to set the action. For this, I'm going to make an announcement to my class, and I'm going to click go. And you can see this link's been automatically generated. What happens is students click on that link to join the class. So something like put a little personal message in there, click the link to join the class. You can then also add particular students you want to send it to, or send it later if you want as well. If you want to schedule it for later, you can do that, or you can just post it. And the nice thing about Google Classroom is it just gives you that option to view. So you can click view and you can see exactly how your students are doing. Oh, sorry, you can see this message that I posted just here. When students click on this link, it will basically take them onto their Seneca account. They need to log in if they haven't logged in already. And then they'll just get this pop-up, which will say, in a second when it loads, it'll say, there you go, you've just joined the name of the class I gave earlier. And when I click continue, it will just take me through, you'll see those 5 courses, and then you see the assignment as well down the bottom here that I created. So students can just go and start learning. Now the process is very similar on Teams, but again, let me just show you how that works. So again, I go on Microsoft Teams. I share the link with on Microsoft Teams through here. I choose who I want to share it with. So I can choose, I know I've got a geography group on here. So I can share it there. And again, I can add a similar message, click the link to join, whatever it is you want. And then down the bottom here, you just have the option to share it, and it confirms that your link has been shared. And if I go onto my Microsoft Teams and find that geography GE2 group, you'll see there it is at 1610. I've just shared that link. And again, if I click on that link, it will go through the same process that I've done with my with the previous version I showed you on Google Classroom. So that's in terms of inviting students. The other options are this class code, or if you are working in a premium school, we're soon going to be offering MIS integrations, which will allow you to basically sync whatever is on your register tool to the classes on Seneca, so everything just updates automatically, which is a bonus. But if you're not in a premium school, then you'll just be able to use these class sharing links. So once students start to join, you can also invite other teachers if you want. This is to allow teachers to class share. So if they want to share the teaching, also if heads of department or senior leaders want to have access to the data, they can do this and click on here to add teachers. And another way to get access to data is, again, if you're in a premium school, we're soon going to be starting to roll out student level whole school data. to allow you to look at that sort of from a head of department's perspective, but also from a senior leader's perspective as well. So let me just switch on to a class that actually has some students in, because this next section will make a lot more sense then. So you can see this is a class. I've got 31 students here. I'm not going to invite any teachers because I don't have anyone who wants to have access to the data or share the group with me. But I can go in and see data from the assignment. So you remember the assignment we created? I can go and have a look at all the data as students start to complete that work. And I can really understand what it is that my students are understanding and what it is that they're not. So first of all, you see the headlines at the top. You've got the number completed, the number completed late, the number incomplete, and you've also got the sort of names of the topics you set and the average scores as well. And then as you scroll down, you can see nicely red, amber, green, exactly what your students have done when they've studied this work. You can see their total time, their average scores, etc. And then you can also see it on a topic level, so using apostrophes with regular plurals, how well have students understood that? Pretty well with things, but there are some oranges in there as well. So the other thing you can do is change the metrics. At the moment I've got best score selected. I can change to most recent attempt or worst score, average score, number of attempts or total study time. And as I just click on these, you'll see the data just changes accordingly depending on what you select. Now, the really nice thing about this is obviously really useful for understanding what students have and haven't done, and understanding where they've struggled. And what you can do then is you can actually start to think about, okay, what follow-up activities do I want to do here? How can I quickly set those? And you can use our Smart Reassign function to do that. So if I click Smart Reassign, what you'll see here is you can think about how to reassign this work to help students revisit the work that they've struggled with, and access new questions and adapted courses to remind them this content. So I want to set it for anyone who didn't complete the work, and anyone who got less than 50%, let's say. And I can reassign that, and I can give it a name. And again, start and an end date. And a lot of schools are using this as sort of an opportunity to space out practice with pupils. So in maybe a couple of weeks' time, they can set the work. Students can then access the work and work on these these topics that they've struggled with. But when I click reassign, you'll first see an option to share the assignment on Classroom and Teams again, which I'll just come back to in 1 second. But first of all, to show you, you see we've got 3 different students who have met that criteria that I set. The system's gone through each student and seen who hasn't completed the work, who's got less than 50% as their best score, and it's just reset a follow-up task just for these 3 students. Now I said I'd come back to the sharing. So when you create an assignment, it gives you the option to share it on Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, or by link or by email as well. And again, I'll just show you this process with relation to Classroom and Teams. So again, let's show you Classroom first. So again, I can choose which class I want to share it to. And again, I can choose the action. Now this time I'm going to create an assignment, because it's an assignment on Seneca. It makes sense to keep things the same. And you'll see that link's been generated. You can give it a title, enter any instructions. And then you can also decide if you're using the mark book in Google Classroom, you can set a number of points, you can set a due date, you can also put it under a topic as well. I will leave it as blank in the topic, so I'll show you what that does a bit later. If I click assign, that will then take me through to Google Classroom again, where I can click view and see that post. And again, it's just come up in the stream of Google Classroom here at 4:15. We've got this assignment 1 that I've just created. But this time, because it's an assignment, it will also pop up in the classwork. So you'll see here, I've got the assignment. Now you notice that I didn't put any topic on this. That just means it goes to the top of the page on Google Classroom. But if I wanted to select a topic, I could have selected topic 1, whatever it is, topic 2, and I can just drag it down if I need to do that after the event. And that just helps to organize your classroom, but also students see the same layout as well. So if you want to put it under a certain topic, that will help students to develop their, to organize their work. Now again, on Microsoft Teams, it's the same process. You click on Microsoft Teams, You again choose the class you want to share it to. So let's go for that same geography class. And again, enter instructions. And then down the bottom here, we can click this share button and you get that confirmation that's been shared. Now, again, if I go into this here, you can see here this enter instructions that I've just written. If I was to click on this here or the same version in Google Classroom, I'll just be taken straight into that assignment and I can start learning to make sure my students have direct access to the things I'm setting. So you're probably thinking, great, it's all good when I set an assignment, I can see lots of data, which is excellent. But as a class teacher, you want to see data on a wider scale than just for an assignment. And for that, you can use the insights. And this allows you to filter by particular date ranges or custom date ranges, different courses that you want to see data for, but also select the metric just like before as well. So what you can do is go in here and select the sections you want to see data for. And I just want to select the different topics that I want to see data for. So let's go for all of these. And then I can see data on a more holistic view. I can see who's done everything over the last 30 days, what's been going on in the last 24 hours. I can just change the filters appropriately to see exactly what I want to see. And you can also download this to CSV from here or from assignments as well. You can make sure that basically creates a spreadsheet for your students' achievements, so you can then use that in whatever way you want as well. Now, the final place to see data on Seneca is in the Students tab. And this is where you see sort of the highest level overview of what your students been up to. So you can see the total learning time, their average scores, number of sessions completed, and also the number of correct answers based on the filters you've got selected at the top. So I've got last 24 hours selected. Again, if you just changed it, it would pull through different data. And again, you can download this into a spreadsheet through this CSV button, and then do with it whatever is useful. Now, that's kind of it. We're trying to keep it very simple in terms of our integration with Google Classroom and Microsoft Teams. Things on the horizon that we're looking to improve in the way that we work is to link up classes better between Google Classroom and Microsoft Teams, so they work better. But also one other thing to share that's I think is really valuable is within a class on Microsoft Teams, you can add these custom tabs. It may be locked due to your restrictions put in place by your school's IT team. So if you want to have access to this, just ask. So it's just this little plus at the top here that I'm pressing. And what you can do in there is if I go to add a website, you can actually do this with any website, but I'm going to show you how it works with Seneca, is you can actually then put in any link. So you just go to a URL. So let's say I want to link to here, as an example, the classes overview page for me. I can click in here, I can copy the link in. It says it isn't a valid URL. That's because it's a demo version, but if I put app.senecalearning.com, there we go. So you just copy that in from your browser, choose whether you want to post about it in the channel, and then click save. And what that does is it creates a new tab, which you will be able to see. You could also set this up for your students, but it allows you to access your Seneca straight from the tabs in Microsoft Teams, which is then really, really powerful and really useful because it's just always there. So that's there and available as a tool that you could use if you wish as well. So that's basically all I wanted to cover in today's session. We've talked a little bit about how Seneca sort of has been developed, how you can set up your classes and use Microsoft Teams and Google Classroom to integrate those. Again, something else that we're looking to bring in fairly soon is single sign-on. So that will mean students will be able to log into Seneca using their Microsoft login details or their Google login details. So they'll be able to just use one login. But for the moment, they need to have their own accounts on Seneca and log in with those to access their classes and their assignments. Now, if you haven't had a chance to ask any questions yet and you have something burning, please do pop them in the chat. The chat on Zoom is here. So if you want to ask any questions, just feel free to pop them in there about the Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, or Seneca more generally. Happy to answer those. I can see Lorraine has already put a question in here, is do students have to remember their login details or just log in once? So it depends on the device settings. So students, if they're on a personal device and they have their settings set so that it keeps them logged in, they won't need to remember to do that. On a school computer, I imagine it will vary school to school how that works. But if they're on their phone or something, they can just save their password and they'll just be able to log in, and it will just log in as usual. So for example, if I go to Seneca now, I won't be asked to log in because I'm already logged in on this account. It will just take me straight into my account like this. And it'll be the same for students, and it'll be the same for any other teachers as well. But this will also be something we'll improve when we add single sign-on for students and teachers using Microsoft Teams and Google Classroom. Okay. That looks like it might be all the questions from everyone. I hope I've answered all your questions. And if you have any further questions that I haven't answered, or you haven't thought to ask now but you want to sort of revisit later on, best thing to do is use our customer support team. So my colleague Olivia will be supporting you with any questions you have through there. And we've also got lots of great videos in our help pages, which will help you to sort of get started and talk you through any bits you might have missed in this webinar if you are struggling at all. But really, sort of, if you have any questions or anything, just get in touch and we're happy to help. If there's no more questions, thank you very much for joining, and I hope you have a good rest of your afternoon. Thanks.